Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prashant Goel. I am the director in OPG Group, and I'm handling the coal procurement for the group since the inception. I would first likely to thank Steelman for inviting me to present the paper on outlook for Indian power sector. Would like to just share a little about our company first. We basically are a coal-based company. We are listed in the London Stock Exchange. We have 4 units in Chennai totaling to 420 megawatts and 2 units in Kutch, Gujarat for 150 megawatts each, that's 300 megawatts. All power plants are operational, and we have set up these projects since 2010 in a phased manner. In 11, 12 and 13 we set up 80 megawatts each. Then in 14 we set up the 4th unit in Chennai for 180 megawatts, and then in 15 and 16 the Gujarat project came online. Currently all projects are running efficiently. We are currently looking at setting up 2 solar projects. We have won the tenders. That is in Jharkhand for 124 megawatts and in Karnataka for 62 megawatts. So this is the way we feel OPG will be in 5 years from now. We are quite bullish on renewable sector and looking at some investments in solar and wind, and of course we may look at some acquisitions in the thermal space in coming times. This is the tariff which we have got for our solar project, which is around 5 rupees for both our projects, and the capex for both projects currently is standing at around 135 million pounds. The Karnataka project is more or less started, and Jharkhand is also in the pipeline. We basically, since the inception of the company, the thought was that we will not depend on Indian coal. So our projects are set up at the coast. We are in Chennai, which is connected to the Ennore port, and we are in Gujarat, in Kutch, where there are 3 large ports, that's Mundra, Kandla and Tuna. So the company is basically dependent on mostly imported coal. Last year we imported nearly 3.75 million tons of Indonesian coal. Our boilers are designed in such a way that we can consume Indian coal as well as Indonesian coal. We can consume high ash coal, low ash coal, high moisture coal. So we have a great amount of flexibility in playing around with coal, because everyone's aware, being dependent on Coal India, you may not sometimes get the required coal. A little bit overview on the power sector. India is now one of the largest players in the power sector, 3rd largest in electricity producer and 4th largest in terms of installed power generation capacities. Power demand is driven by focus of industrialization, electrification drive to ensure power for all, continued investment in power infrastructure augmentation, and imperative to achieve power growth aspirations. So there's a great scope for increase here, and renewable space looks very bullish. The government is also really pushing the renewable industry. The overview of the power sector, it's mainly coal driven that dominates it. There are huge transmission losses which need to be corrected, nearly 22%. That needs to be taken care by the DISCOMs. Because of that, the DISCOMs' financial health is very poor. The energy deficit in India has reduced from 8.5% from 2012 to 2.1%, and the target to transform India into an energy surplus country by 2020. The peak power deficit reduced from 10.6% to 1.6% in FY17. Low per capita consumption. China's per capita consumption is around 3,900. India is nearly around 1,100. So kilowatts per hour. So there's a great scope for increase in India potential. The power sector overview. India is plagued with energy and peak power deficit, resulting to frequent load shedding and power failures. India plans to overcome the situation with accelerated generation capacity augmentation. In this, the government is focusing on ensuring power for all by 2020, transform India into power surplus by 2020, promote rapid power generation capacity augmentation, emphasize on renewable energy, emphasize on clean and thermal energy, additional focus in increasing efficiency in existing power plants. The expected growth in renewable space should be nearly 31%, which is very interesting going forward. But power generation for renewable energy sources has inherent limitations: inconsistent power, seasonality, high dependence on factor beyond human control. So basically, conventional energy will remain only at a higher efficiency and cleaner technology. These are the challenges which we face in the power space, mainly fuel linkages. The most private sector plants are plagued with unavailability of consistent fuel supply, especially gas-based. I was reading an article a few days back that a lot of gas-based power plants may shut down because the gas has again become expensive. We have a fuel supply arrangement for our Chennai plant with Coal India, and that has been cut down to 50%. So basically, private players are not getting coal from, as per their requirement. We would be more than happy to buy more coal, but we are not getting it. So government has to kind of intervene and try to support the private sector in this. They are mainly supporting the sectors in which the government IPPs, where they're supplying power to all users. Poor financial health of the DISCOMs. Because of that, they are not being able to purchase power. Payments are very, very delayed. We supply some power in Chennai, and our payments are much delayed out there. So that's a big problem which we also face. For that, the government has come out with the Uday scheme to mitigate this issue. Land issue is, acquisition of land is a very, very big problem. I was a part of the Gujarat project, and acquiring land was like a nightmare for us. We took a long, long time. We had to acquire some government land which took us nearly 2.5 years to acquire. It was just some 30-40 acres, but it was very, very difficult. These are the problems faced by the power industry in connection to fuel. The Ministry of Coal has not declared any coal linkage policy in the last 2 years. Coal India policy is to extend FSA only to IPPs with state DISCOM PPAs. So that kind of leaves private players like us out. We are in the back of the line. There are private sector projects, both complete and incomplete, which don't have PPAs. Absence of fresh tenders of state DISCOMs in the last 3 years because they don't have money, so no new tenders are being floated. Such projects and captive producers don't get FSAs from Coal India, hence they have to buy expensive coal through coal e-auctions. Coal India is not doing auctions. Even if the auctions are happening, they're happening just once a year. So again, those coals are very, very expensive for us to buy, and the logistical cost is a kind of a nightmare. The Coal India quality is also of low grade in the sense they have high ash, so that reduces the efficiencies of the plants. Major logistical constraints and high cost of moving coal. The coal which we are moving to our Chennai plant from MCL, nearly 50 to 60% is the transport cost. So you can imagine how expensive that makes the coal. This is just a slide to show the various coal qualities of the Coal India plant coal fields. We are getting coal from Mahanadi coal fields, and we don't get the GCV more than 3,200 to 3,400, and the ash is nearly 40%. This is the support mechanism for the renewable industry, reducing gas house emissions. India is pledged to cut gas house emissions intensity by 30 to 35% by 2030, bridging demand-supply energy gap, exemptions and other initiatives, duty exemptions for most equipment machinery, 10-year tax holiday, 10-year FDI allowance, 100% FDI allowance, then accelerated depreciation. India is keen on development of the renewable sector and have introduced several policies initiatives to promote investment in this sector. So this looks quite bullish. These are the key challenges which the coal generators, the power plants face. Again, Coal India is we need more support from Coal India to get the required coal quantities. They are giving mainly to the state DISCOMs, to the IPPs which supply power to the state DISCOMs. Then the lack of discovery of gas and prices, distribution challenge, this everyone's aware of. The gas prices are very expensive. Capital cost is very, very high, which Mr. Mukherjee also raised, that's a big dent. I mean, with the interest cost, it becomes very, very high, difficult to manage such large projects because the interest cost becomes just exorbitant to handle. Government support is required in areas like land, water, environmental clearances, forest department clearances. I'll just give you a small example. In Gujarat, when we had set up our project, so we had to set up this pipeline for getting water. It's called the GWL pipeline, Gujarat Water Infrastructure Limited. So that passes through a state and a national highway. Now, around the state and the national highway, they have grown trees, and that part of the road they have given to the forest department to manage, though the highways own the land. But then in sense, the forest department becomes the owner. So for us to take a pipeline through that road, we had to approach the forest department for a clearance for half an hectare, just half an hectare, which is 5,000 square meters, which took us nearly 2 years. So that was it was a very difficult exercise. You have to just like follow the forest department from pillar to post, and so these kind of problems delay the projects, and hence the cost goes up. This is personally which I have experienced because I was the one who had to get the clearance, and it was like it was a great difficulty. Again, another area of great concern is transmission lines. Now that also is a very, very big problem. Again, in Gujarat, we had to lay around 60 kilometers of transmission line from our plant to the substation we were designated to, and literally every area, every tower was a nightmare because the ROW issues were so severe that we had to literally be in the police station every day, try to manage getting police protection for our people because the farmers would come and hit the contractors, and there were so many problems. So this is an area where the government intervention is required because distribution is a very, very big challenge in India. These are some M&A key challenges which more than 20,000 projects are currently available, but bankers are not taking decision in extending viable financing. Projects are non-viable because of non-availability of FSAs, lower PPAs, financial conditions of DISCOM, and slower in payments. Again, what I was mentioning in the previous slide, the project cost overruns sometimes just literally kills the project. The international investors are not willing to invest in thermal projects because of the problems faced by them, and they are keen in investing in renewable energies. Currently, there are 2 UMPPs up for bidding, which is at Odisha and Tamil Nadu, but there are no takers. So that just shows how depressed the industry is currently. In the last 2 years, not a single greenfield thermal project has started. Government is very keen on renewables, so they are not looking at the thermal power sector currently. These are the key challenges in the renewable power sector. Again, financing is an issue. I mean, again, interest cost is very high, and the tenure should be extended because these loans are maybe for 5, 7 to 8 years or 9 years, but it would be better if it would be for at least 12, 15 years. Regulatory issues are there. There are many agencies like MNRE, IREDA, which are very, very complex. Distribution companies sign PPAs only after land is acquired. Again, acquisition of land is a big problem. Again, grid connectivity is a problem. Same issues with all these projects, that usually the project may get completed, but again the transmission line takes a long time, and that kind of delays the entire project. Then some other minor issues are there, like availability of skilled manpower, and these are some examples of some FDI and some acquisitions, mainly the one which Tata Power acquired Welspun, Adani Power took over the ODP Power, some listing of just some projects. So basically I would like to conclude by saying that there needs to be a great support from the government on fuel linkage. If government supports private players in getting coal at the correct price, that would be a big help. Second, banks need to, the assets which are stressed, they need to be checked, and in the sense that the haircut which the promoters and the banks have to take have to be identified, because otherwise there'll be no value. No new company will step in to take the assets if they are too expensive to take. And I'm quite bullish with the new government having such a great victory in UP. I think things should improve in India. Thank you very much.